Hey, welcome to the Road to Legacy podcast. You know, we've been away for a while. We got Emmanuel Stanley down low right now. He's been on the show a couple of times with his syphilis tsunami situation, which you should find on YouTube. We got Empress Chi down low, who's doing the Million Woman March. Hopefully, in Africa, we're going to hear some about that on the back end. And we got Donald right next to me, our famous co host, a loving Donald Reed. Sometimes it's very difficult for us. Everybody be lifing, that I put it like that. And sometimes it's difficult for us to get times where we can come together like this as black people, especially during this economy and with everything that's going on in our nation and in the world in general. So we found time to get together, me sitting in my car in the middle of a field in the middle of a field in Indianapolis. Empress Chi that just got on a phone call with Dana Ross, who we've done a podcast about, also Emmanuel, and she just wanted us to meet Empress Chi, and Donald's in the house all day, all night. So, what the first thing that we want to get out though to everyone is the support that we've gotten in the past from people in New York, the the support that we've gotten in the past from people as we worked in the hospitality industry, and that has to do with our national, our what yearly annual
And our annual is our annual toy
annual
drive.
yeah,
Annual.
Roxanne Reed, who happens to be Donald's mother, who was a huge community activist in the Bronx, in New York in general, recognized by mayors and governors around the state, whose name is now plastered on the street that we do the toy drive on. And Donald, tell us a little more about that and what we need in the future.
No, Doc, thank you for that intro. And I'm so happy and blessed to have everybody here with us. El Pollinator, Sister Empress Chi, Doctor Empress Chi. Let's get that right. You earned that.
Oh, that's right.
Dr.
Amen.
Empress Chi. And so the toy drive that you guys know we do every single year is the annual toy drive that we do in the Bronx. We give out toys, we give out food, we give out clothes. And we are in our fundraising moment because the toy drive is going to be December 19th, rain check date on the 20th. And so we want to come on here just to let y'all know how you can help out Martin and I and everybody who's actually on this live. We are raising money for I believe it's our eighth annual toy drive in the Bronx. And last year it was great. Every single year actually has been a major, major blessing. But we would not be able to do it without the help of all of you, the community. The community is very, very important. The community that gives us gifts, and in turn, we take those gifts and we give it back to the community. And so, yeah, that's that. We are on here talking about that and preparing. Even though I feel like it's a tiny bit late, but we're on God's timing, like El Pollinator always tells us. It's always God's timing. There's nothing ever too late. It's nothing ever too early. It's right on time. So, since we are right on time, we are doing again our annual toy drop. So we need everybody's help and support. How you can do that is pretty soon you'll see a GoFundMe link pop up on our social media page. Is everything Road to Legacy podcast. All you do is click on there, you press that donate button, and if it's $5, $10, whatever you have, it helps us to do what we do. And then also, if you have any old clothes, you have toys that you want to get rid of, let us know. Hit us up on any one of our socials, and we are doing pickups. So if you are within the NYC area, within the five boroughs, as long as you're not upstate West Bubba, we will come through and pick up the goods that you have.
Right, and also books. We gave away a lot of books that day. As a matter of fact, all our books were gone, and we had tons of books. So people need books up in projects. You know what I'm saying? People need to be reading more. But it's all a blessing. And once again, we thank you. We served over 4,000 people last year. The year before that, about 2,000. So we want to even serve more people in the community. We want to big up the Soho Grand Hotel, the Roxy Hotel in New York City. We want to big up Planet Fitness, who helped us out, and the owner of Planet of those branches of Planet Fitness, which is go ahead, Donald. Who am I
Yeah, we
forgetting?
also want to big up. We also want to big up Umar from Masjid up in the Bronx, who helped to donate the food. Much love to him always, as he's recovering and stuff. There's so many people have
Yeah. That have
uh,
helped us out.
to help
Um,
support. You
but
know,
but so that's what we're going to do. So we're talking about that now. Donald like to say without further ado, right? But this is not a full podcast. I want to ask Sister Queen Doctor Empress. Am I right? Now,
Empress
how can
Chi.
we, if she, how
That's
can
good.
we, what do you do? Like we're gonna have you on again when we have more time. But what do you do? How do you do it? And how can people be involved?
Well, thank you so much, my brothers. It's really wonderful to be here with you. Let me just ask a question. Are
Yes.
you familiar with the historic Million Woman March?
No, I'm not. That's why you're on. I'm trying to find out.
Wow. Too bad. But no, I mean I get it. And that will bring me to a whole nother issue as to why, for whatever reason, I know you've heard of the Million Man March.
Hmm.
yes,
Sure. And as a matter of fact, of course, we're
I
coming up
I've been
soon
there.
on
I've
okay,
been to the movement. Yeah.
wait,
right.
wait. So
So we're coming up soon on the 30-year anniversary commemoration. So I will be going to Chicago to commemorate. I've been invited to come to Chicago to commemorate what's going on there, for October 16th. But the Million Woman March, you need to Google it maybe one day.
I'm reading about it
It
right
just
now.
happens to be the largest gathering in the world of any women anywhere ever, right?
Go ahead.
And I'm saying that because for a lot of reasons, because it is historic. It brought 2.5 million women
Wow,
and girls of African descent together. So for our people not to know about it, you can best believe that's intentional.
1000%. And I
Mm.
was just briefly reading about it, and I did not hear about it. It says that on October 25th, 1997, in
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
Right,
the event had drew between 500,000 to over 2 million people on the Benjamin
right,
Franklin Parkway,
right.
and is considered one of the largest demonstrations in American history. How
History.
do we not know about this? That's
Right,
crazy.
That is
right.
crazy.
Wow.
Now, let me also share with you to give you an idea of just how incredible it really is, and why I've continued to do more so underground in the past years because of the infiltration and other kinds of things that have occurred. You all have heard about those kinds of things, I'm sure, at previous kinds of, activities. But it was always my intention to develop a movement, not just a march. And so, unfortunately, the so-called powers that be knew that, and over the years have done everything they could to prevent it, because they knew that if our women were to be empowered in a holistic manner, not in the context of, and I hope I won't get in trouble for saying this, but not in the context of feminism. That's not who many of us are or represent. We have no need to, because we are the original mother. So why embrace somebody else's ideals and philosophy about women? We can do that quite well on our own. So that wasn't a popular stance to take. And the other stance that was not popular among most is the fact that we never have had a grant or corporate sponsoring.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's not a Black women's organization in this country that has produced what we've produced that can say that.
Mm.
And that was intentional, because when the time came for us to make our next moves, we never wanted anyone to be able to say it was about any money.
Hmm.
We didn't even do a collection that day. We're the only group over 500,000 that didn't do a collection at the event.
Wow.
Hmm.
See, so we have integrity like none other, and have continued to do this work for 2 decades. Again, it's been more difficult, but when you're following what we call the ancestral guidance, our creator's, kind of spirit, then you have to do it the way it's given to you. You can't do it the way other people think you should, because they're not in the position to tell you that. So, so over the years, I've had to undergo, quite a bit of criticism as to, well, why don't you do this and why didn't you do that and all. And I'm like, Negro, please,
Hmm.
you're not in the position to tell me that. You
Hmm.
haven't
Hmm.
produced 2 million people on anything. So, Why am I going to go with whatever you're saying? But anyway, we have evolved. It has been very difficult because, again, I'm sure you know that when you're building something that's going to be substantial and that can really help our people, there's going to be some problems, needless to say. And of course, some didn't survive it. So I can tell you firsthand, when you hear certain stories about different things that have happened to groups, organizations, and people, I can bear witness to some of that. Fortunately, I have survived some of the not only physical attacks, but also the mental and psychological attacks.
Wait, sister, what do you mean by physical attacks? I just want to know when it comes to what you're saying, when it comes to
I'd
something
rather save that for another time when we really have time. But I will say this, that I didn't learn until a few years after the Million Woman March, because I would not let the city of Philadelphia, and I'll put it in a milder way, molest us in terms of, I have other words that I say, but I'm going to say molest us.
You can use it on this podcast. You can say anything you want to. We're not afraid.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll keep that in mind.
Right.
But if you listen to what I said earlier about not allowing corporations or other entities to have any kind of control, well, when you do certain things in a city, at some point, 9 times out of 10, they want a piece of it, to the degree where it can become a cash cow. And that's what they wanted for a Million Woman March. And I refused. And I had to fight in all kinds of ways. That's not the physical one, but in other ways, I had to fight the system to keep them from stealing my intellectual property, my ideas, my creativity, and so forth. Because they wanted to, put it under the million something city of Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, we're not doing that. That's not going to happen. This is for our people. And with that, we're going to keep control of this all across the board. So when the so-called powers realized that, I became persona non grata. And a lot of doors closed on me. After an estimated $25 million flowed through the city of Philadelphia as a result of the Million Woman March. And that's not my numbers, that's the city's numbers. An estimated $25 million. Now, I didn't know that was going to happen. I had no idea because, I was new to the game at that point too. So this was all on the ground training for me. I was an apprentice in mass organizing, productivity, and so forth. I had no idea about certain things. Well, I do now, which is why we're gearing up for our 30-year anniversary and the Million Woman World March. But that's a whole nother topic.
How will you? A couple of quick questions. What inspired the Million Women's March? And then
first of all, don't put an S on it. In other words, see, I love how people do that. That just shows you how psychologically we don't realize how programmed we are. And that's no offense, but and here's why I'm saying that. Women, particularly Black women, are unfortunately, from a psychological perspective, in a lot of folks' minds, even ours, lesser than. Now, anything that I say, for the most part, I can prove based on research, based on me talking with specialists in our, of our people, be it psychology, sociology, psychiatry. I've literally sat with giants who, we've run through these things as to why this and why that. And I've come to the conclusion that because of the programming of the past 400 years, we're embedded with certain things. One of my teachers or elders who, y'all might not know this, but the Willie Lynch letter, I don't know if you're familiar, you ever hear of it?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
How to Make a
It was
Slave.
really written by a Black man.
What?
Yeah.
I can prove it. And he was one of my elders, by the way. And so when I talk about certain things, it's based on people who have done he was a psychologist, by the way. He taught at a university in North Carolina. But anyway, so he came, so so I deal with things like the Willie Lynch chip. He wrote the Willie Lynch letter. I talk about the Willie Lynch chip because I'm responsible for helping to continue some of his work. So we have embedded in us Willie Lynch stuff, chip-wise and codes and all of that. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and Dr. Neely Fuller taught us about the system of white supremacy. And in doing that, and one was, of course, a psychiatrist, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And so, again, these are people that I've and others have studied. So when I say certain things, it's not just based on what I think. I can bring some receipts for you. But going back to your question, one of the things that inspired me was our ancestors. Studying our history and culture when I was in college, I was a part of the Black Student Union. That's how I got involved in the movement. I didn't go to college because I wanted to get an education. I had grew up around some people in my early or latter teens, early 20s, that was talking a certain kind of language. And some of them were much older than me, but they were involved in the 60s and, all of that, 50s, 60s. And I'm listening, I'm going, oh, wow, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. So I went to college thinking that it was there. Wake up call, it was gone. Very little of that, very much of that was actually still happening, but I still got involved to the degree where, we were rebel rousers all across the board. We made the administration do certain things and, blah, 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 blah. So my point is I kind of had the opportunity to be around people who were older than me. And some of them were like 20, 25 years older than me. So I had the opportunity to kind of engage while being kind of, I won't say trained, but prepared. And so I got a chance to sit with Kwame Ture, also known as Stokely Carmichael. Just me and him at his request after the Million Women March. Wow. We sat a few months before he became an ancestor. And I asked him permission to continue my work, because that's what you do in certain traditions of African culture. You ask the elders for permission to do certain things. You don't just pop up and do it. Not to say that I wouldn't, but I try to do as much tradition as I can. So I sat with him and asked permission. I told him about what I was working on and so forth. And he said, yeah, I like that. You go on and do that. So I've sat with Minister Farrakhan, same thing. And interestingly enough, it's been mostly brothers, mostly Black men. Very few.
You did Queen Mother Moore too now.
Queen Mother Moore, unfortunately, Queen Mother Moore passed in May of '97. So her protege, Dr. Dolores Blakely, we've stayed in touch with her. And she was the one that really helped us in bringing Mother Winnie Mandela to the Million Woman March. So again, I was going to mention that earlier, that the wide array of women that because see, I'm grassroots. I do stuff in the United Nations, but I'm firm in what I do and how I do it. And that's grassroots first, always, because that's where a certain energy, synergy is. And if you don't have that, you can get real caught up real quick in some other stuff. So I learned early, always stay connected to the masses of the people. Brother Malcolm, I don't know if y'all see my shirt, but Brother Malcolm, right? So I listen to what people have said and done, and particularly those who have given their lives. And see, for me, if you can't exemplify some of that, I tell folks, you need to turn in your black card.
Hey, right now we're talking to Dr. Chi about, she's the founder of the National Million Women's March, and she's just kicking great knowledge to us right now. Just want to remind people what we're talking about. Go ahead, Doctor. Anything else you got to say about it?
Again, if you look at the Million Woman March, it went from A to Z. We had Malcolm X's daughters spoke, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congressman John Conyers, Dick Gregory, Blair Underwood, Dr. Dorothy Height, Sister Soldier, Faith Evans, and of course, the great Winnie Mandela. all in one day.
Wow.
Now, how does somebody do that with no already existing organization, without a whole lot of money? You know, I emptied out my personal bank account for the initial launching, but when you do something of that magnitude, you're looking at, you know, at least $500,000 to have to be raised.
And it's not a nonprofit. You're not a 501c3 or anything like
Oh,
that.
no. But I am not for profit. I'm a not-for-profit, but I'm not a non-profit, because I will not be caught under those kind of rules and regulations like that, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I had offers from various corporations, and you know, anyone that's familiar with corporate sponsoring, if you've got something good, that could start at 100,000.
Yeah.
Start at 100,000 with certain corporations. I refused it all. So.
Now, why did you refuse it all? Because, you know, a million women, or a million people in general, I'm sure that takes a lot of planning, a lot of organizing, a lot of output, promotion, you know, the space, the venue. Why did you not? And I have an idea, but I'd rather hear it from your mouth. Why did you turn down the sponsorship? How would that have changed things?
Well, it would have changed a lot of things, particularly over the years, if I had done that. But again, I'm the messenger, or I'm the carrier. I'm the mother that you know, had the baby, right? But it came from a much higher source, and so I had to follow that. And I was told very distinctively, do not do that. And so, you know, a lot of times people talk about what they believe, their faith and things of that nature. But then when you're put in a position where you have to make a decision, sometimes that's the moment of truth. So here I am, offered all this money. If I did a collection that day, an estimated $2 million would have been collected that day, and I turned it all down. Now, to go back to your question, brother, why? Two things. I'm about doing things that's never been done before. I believe greatness requires a lot of responsibility and also sacrifices. And you have to step up when you're given that opportunity, or for me, step off. So I was given something to do. It was my baby. But I had to do it in a certain way. You know, some women go to a hospital. Some people go to a midwife. Some people, you know, I had to do my baby at home. And actually, my last child I did have at home, by the way, really. But for true. But this baby, I had to do a certain kind of way. It had to be birthed a certain kind of way. See, that's a mother thing when you understand those kind of dynamics. So to answer your question again, so anybody and everybody does what you just said.
Yeah.
That's the norm. I'm not about the norm. In fact, I'm abnormal. And I think that if we're going to deal with change, then...
You're not Abby normal, are you?
Oh, H to the no. But if we're going to really deal with change in a way that's going to affect us in a manner that's going to matter, then you know what they say about doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result? It's a form of insanity. And it's also not, in this day and age, it's not smart. Because I found out years later that if I had done that, and a note, I followed what I believe was my ancestral guides. I learned 5 or so years later that if I had done that, there was already a plan to charge me later with misappropriation of funds.
You're right. You're right about that. You're right about that.
That's what, because see, I didn't already have a plan. I didn't already have an organization, things of that nature. It wasn't there. And I was smart enough to listen until I was able to do that. I didn't know why I was being told to do that, but when certain things hit you, you either know or you don't. So I knew that I need to just do what I'm, you know, heed to what's being said spiritually. And later found out, as others have that I've seen, politicians and others, you can walk into traps and it looks good, smells good, sounds good, but it's rotten as all get out. And so rather than to fall into the obvious kinds of traps that our people are falling into. I mean, you either learn stuff or you don't. And at some point, there's enough going on for you to have learned some stuff. So bottom line is, I didn't get involved with the corporations for several reasons. One, I'm not someone to be pimped.
Mm.
Now, pimping it comes in different ways. There's a
Mm-hmm.
street way, but then there's a corporate way in different kind of ways. So with that said, most folk, and this is just me, I'm not saying don't get the money. I'm just saying this is me, right? And I reserve that right. I'm not going to let someone pay me to advertise your product. And number one, I either don't agree with your product, don't like your product, but also, why am I going to let you use me as an instrument to promote your product? And you're not of African descent. Why would I want to do that? Unless I just want the money. So for the most parts, most corporations have a budget. The budget is used for advertising or marketing or whatever. So that's a given. That's already set for them. So they're not giving you anything really. It's business. So sometimes when you see a community partnership, no, it's a business. It may seem like, oh, we're helping the community and we're really doing our responsibility. Really? You're making money. And if not right then and there, the whole idea of what you do and how you do it in advertising, that's a part of what you do anyway, period. They have their own departments for that, their own revenue stream for that. So this whole idea of community partnership and all that kind of stuff, it's an illusion. And what black people are used to market other folks' things because the other people don't have that access.
Mm-hmm.
And so they pay you to do that. But in reality, what are you really doing? You see, so it's one thing to, again, you have to, whatever your value system is, and I'm not trying to lessen what someone does. I'm just saying for me, I figured out other ways I'm going to make my money with our people, promoting our people.
Were you also concerned about if you did take sponsorship money from corporations, they want to change the trajectory or the idea of the structure of what you were creating, and then at some point try to own it?
Absolutely. Number one, that was the other thing. Once they later saw what my real agenda was, then a lot of the offers dried up at that point, because as long as you're safe and you're promoting something that is not going to really develop anything beyond that point, they don't care. And most people that do things, they're not, whatever they're doing, it's not going to be something that is really significant. It's a thing. It's a moment. And so they thought initially that's what I was dealing with, until they realized, oh no, this woman is really kind of serious about some things. And then a different kind of interaction occurred. But again, it was always my intention to develop the first global movement for women and girls of African descent worldwide. Like I said, I don't like doing mediocre stuff. I'm not here for that. Our ancestors already showed us how great we are. So why would I be trying to do something that's just like mediocre? That's not.
Doctor, I had a nonprofit maybe about 15 years ago where I was taking kids to Africa, to Ghana, teaching them diversity through travel. I lost my voice, so just bear with me. Teaching diversity through travel, and I got a company that came through, and they wanted to give me $88,000, and I didn't take it because it was the Philip Morris company. It was a cigarette company.
Sure.
And people thought I was crazy. It was like, what's wrong with you? Take that money. I was like, how's it going to look, me taking kids to Africa on the top of a cigarette company? That's killing us. That's killing, especially now that we found out where the menthol was at in our communities and all these other drugs. So I get definitely what you're saying. So my next question towards you is, when is the next National Millions Women's March? When is the next one going on? Has it passed? Have I missed it? What do people have to do to be involved? I'm not going to say, I'll say support, but I'll also say involved.
Well, two things. One is with the Million Woman. Now remember, it's the
Woman.
Million Man March. It's not the Million
Woman.
Men's, not the Million Mans, not the
Woman.
it's the Million Man March. So we're the Million Woman March because you brothers in most folks' minds that was thinking in a certain kind of way, you represent the original black man, not the original black men. The original black man.
Got it.
Right? That's very important because from that came all this other stuff. Same thing with us. We're not the million women. We're the million woman because it came from the mother of civilization, that one woman. So see, there was a psychological thing in all of this stuff that most might have just, missed over, but I'm sharing it with you because we have to keep our history and traditions intact. And not just intact, but make certain it's able to grow and develop. And so if you don't have that fundamental stuff, sometimes you won't get the roots of it and then it disappears or somebody else takes it and twists it around the way they want it, which is what is happening in a lot of things, right? But to answer your question, so this year we are launching or preparing for our 30-year anniversary, which will be in 2027. So we're getting ready to launch major things. It's taken me 10 years to develop key components. I've been to Africa, I've been to various places doing research. I said something earlier about in folks' minds, whether they realize it or not, there's embedded residue, for lack of a better word. And some of that is to see our women as being, and I'll use the term lesser than, because I think mathematically, because I love physics. That's my little side hustle, my little sideline thing. I love physics. And so I connect in thinking in that kind of manner. So our women and girls are viewed as lesser than. And if you understand the terminology in math, then you know what that means. And we know that because particularly when you see certain females put out there like Sexy Red and Cardi B. And no, I'm not trying to hate on y'all. I'm just saying. I mean, but to have young girls 5 years old, 6 years old in the mirror, that's a problem, but it's all structured intentionally. And so the idea of lesser than is carried through in certain other kinds of genres or venues or manipulative kinds of sources. By the way, have you all seen Good Times?
Yes.
On Netflix?
Yes. You mean the show Good Times, the old show Good Times? Yeah.
No, not the old one.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. There's a new one.
Oh, please. And I shouldn't suggest that you do, but there's a campaign now that says Netflix because of their rendition of Good Times that is animated. You brothers got to see that. When I say,
and guess who's funding it? Guess who's funding it? Your great Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors.
He's the funder, one of the main funders.
Wow.
But when you brothers see it, you're going to call me up and say, sister, let's have another conversation. I'm serious.
It's always something.
It is wretched.
Always something.
It is horrible. It is so demeaning and just disgusting.
And it's put in a cartoon form?
Put in a cartoon form.
For the kid. Oh, God.
Right? So that it appeals to children.
Yeah. That's
right,
how they do it.
Right? But when you all, please just look at the trailer. You don't even have to look. Go to YouTube and look at the trailer. And then give me a call. Because the brother who's heading up the campaign, Dr. James McIntosh, who's a psychiatrist, he's retired now. He's with a group called CMOTAP. And they have a major campaign. We're getting ready to launch on our end to Black women to write letters, telling them to take that thing off. It is that horrible.
Straight coonery. Straight
it's
coonery.
beyond that. It's beyond. Again, wait till they see it. Let them see it, and then we'll have another conversation. You all tell me what you think.
Hey, man, check that out, man. Go ahead.
Well, Norman Lear is still involved with this project.
Oh, goodness. That shows you right there.
Well, I don't know, but I know that Steph is, because there's been communications with some of my folks and him. And, he was even asked, and we have it on recorded, would you let your children watch this? He said no.
Oh, my goodness.
He said no.
That's where I got the issues. But I got that when it comes to my people.
I want his children to watch it.
Well, yeah, Doc, just, oh, Lord Jesus Christ. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
But to go back to what you were saying, so October the 25th is our anniversary. We'll be launching our first annual National Black Women's, now you're going to love this, History, Heritage, Legacy Appreciation Day.
October 25th.
Yep, that's what we launch here in Philadelphia.
Say that again.
It's called the National Black Women's History, Heritage, and Legacy Appreciation Day.
October 25th. Okay.
Yep. And that begins to kick things off. Now, there's major things that'll be happening for the next couple of years, such as the formation of a National Black Women's History curriculum. Why? Because you didn't even know about the Million Woman March, the largest gathering in the world. So I'm saying that on my end, when I started researching the history of Black women, I am like, oh my gosh, had no idea.
Yes.
And I'm a researcher. I mean, I read, I'm a researcher,
hey, Doc, let me interrupt you just real quick. So me and Don was with Ruby Bridges last week, right? We were in Fashion Week in New York. She's a friend of ours. You know, there's a lot of people that don't even know who she is.
Of course.
Many people don't know who she is and don't know that she's alive, and people were shocked to actually see that. But go ahead,
you can imagine. I mean, in this day and age, why our history is not like more known and embraced in this day and age, when all you have to do is like pick up your phone and there it is. I mean, it's unbelievable now, but surely I have learned so much in the past couple of years about our history and particularly our women. I'm like, wow, it's unbelievable. So anyway, I'm creating a curriculum along with educational tools, particularly for the children. So we're working on like coloring books, flashcards, and so forth, to make sure that we educate our children about, particularly for me, and I'm not prejudiced, y'all. So it's not like I don't do things with my brothers and for my brothers. It's just that my assignment at this time is this. I'm very specific. And so I realized that there was a void in terms of our women.
I have a quick question, especially about women and young Black women in particular. What do you think will help to change their mind psychologically to all of the sexism, the twerking, selling yourself short, a lack of self-respect? What do you think will help these young women? Because I have a young daughter who's growing up, and I'm watching the influences of things that are out there and trying to avoid, that impact or that influence from these negative images, the negative music. It's all over the place constantly.
Absolutely.
And the last thing that I'll say, I live in Brooklyn, and I watch kids come out of school every day, and I see how the young men are treating these young girls and the acceptance that they have.
Lesser than.
And so I'm like, yo, I don't want my daughter to be like that. But also at the same time, I'm saying I feel responsible to do something about it.
Absolutely.
So what is your recommendation, or what do you think, or how can those things change or be worked on?
So, I mean, there's a number of things, but one in particular, you being a serious, strong Black man, that may be first and primary. Because daughters, girls, young girls in particular, that daddy image figure or whatever, it's
Doc,
oftentimes sets the tone.
what do you mean by serious? When you say a serious black man, what do you mean by that?
Sirius.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that at all?
Educate me. Continue to do
Okay.
it. I'm got my open. Let me know.
Okay.
Come
So,
on with
and
it.
I thank you for that. I thank you for that because that makes a difference. And that's what we're talking about, making a serious difference. So, historically and
Mm,
traditionally speaking, there is a star system known
mm,
as the Sirius star system,
Yep.
right? Now, for our people,
mm,
it's an ancient understanding, tradition. If you do the research, you will find that a people known as the Dogon peoples in Mali and parts of other Africa it said that they actually came from out of Kemet or Egypt, and then there was a flood, and they ended up having to go, to a higher ground. But anyway, they're still based in the area of Mali. But thousands of years ago, the Dogon lore, folklore, oral lore, tradition was, they said, based on writings on different walls and other things, their dances, they said that thousands of years ago, a entity or entities came from the sky. And it was a star that these people came from, planet, star, whichever you prefer. Now, this is thousands of years ago. And they also said that even though they came from this main star, that there was a smaller star.
Sirius
Now,
A and B.
no, this was said thousands of years ago, and on some of their walls, they have the glyphs, the writings to indicate what they were talking about.
mm.
Well, a European went to Mali, I think, in the mid to late 1800s, and was able to talk with them and document some of the things that were being said. At any rate, there were some other earlier writings or Europeans that had also gone there. And the findings is that the Dogon people have been talking about this star for decades, for centuries. However, the star was not discovered by Europeans or any other Europeans until a telescope rather was developed in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And then they found this star that was depicted on the wall along with the smaller star, which is both are now called Sirius A and B.
Mm-hmm.
And it's spelled Sirius. So when you hear me say Sirius, I'm connecting the intent of a certain in-depthness of thought and doing along with history, tradition, culture, and so forth. So for you to be a serious black, in other words, people could say, well, I'm a black man. Well, okay. What that mean?
Right.
You see? But when you
That's why I asked that question.
right, but when you begin to clarify, identify, relate to the aspects of that, now we're talking about something. Now we're talking about caliber of the man.
Caliber.
The caliber. That's different from I'm just a black man.
Yeah.
The caliber. So again, to my brother, is continue to be a serious black man, to uphold the tradition, the integrity, the honor of our people, of you, of our men, et cetera, et cetera. That's a serious black man. The brilliancy, because the Sirius star in the sky is said to be one of the most brilliant stars in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about brilliancy here as well. So those kinds of elements and characteristics is what we're talking about in terms of how we see our men, how we want to see our men. And so you being that, for that child to see, that young female, that young girl to see at a very early age, that puts something in the brain, ultimately. So that's one of the things as a primary. The other thing is support sisters that do this work with our sisters on the real, not just, trying to get some grant or something like that. get with sisters that really do know and understand what it is to be a Black woman, the mother of civilization and goddess of the universe.
Yep.
And who do so not based on religion, not based on economics, not based on what school you went to, not based on none of that stuff, but based on the mere fact that we have a common connection. Some call it melanin or whatever.
Carbon.
That right there, you can't get around that. All that other stuff can change, or the names of it, the thoughts of it, all that can change. But this right here, that's not going to change beyond a certain point. It might get a little darker, but depending on where you at. But
that was go. I'm sorry, Doc.
And lastly, right here, we're connected by this. It's called the pineal gland.
That's right.
It's also called the black dot. It's called the black dot in certain science circles or whatever.
Third eye, but we call it our what? First eye.
Right. Okay, but in science, it's called the pineal gland.
Yep.
And we're connected by that. And when you study that, you know that one of our great scholars, Dr. Richard King, taught us that other groups of peoples, and this is scientific fact, I'm not trying to be whatever, other groups of peoples, their pineal gland has the tendency to calcify. You can read it, it's there. Ours do not. For the most part. I mean, we're messing it up with the food that we're eating and other kind of vices and so forth. But generally, right. And sisters using chemicals on your hair, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But again, the pineal gland for us is primary. And if you look at certain religions, you will see it's also primary for them, which is why they embrace what appears to be somewhat of a cone, a pine cone thing, which is said what your pineal gland kinds of resembles. At any rate, it is said to be one of the key elements in your brain, which is where your creativity, dreams, ideas, imagination, all those kind of things is said to come from that right there. And it's also known as the black dot. And that's not coincidental.
No, it's not. Hey, once again, we're speaking to Dr. Chi right now. She's the founder of the National Million Women's March, and she's kicking great knowledge to her. I learned a lot in this last half an hour. We definitely have to have you back on. I don't even want to cut you short, but I know that everybody's going to have to go and so forth and so on. But we really appreciate your time and El Pollinator down there, you know. We want to know what's going on. I do have to big up Dana Ross and her company. She's gonna in the future. She's gonna need our support, just like the doctor said, to support our Black women and what they're doing. We're gonna have her on later on, but hopefully, doctor, can you come back on sometimes this week, or how can we?
Absolutely.
Is it a problem?
All right. Absolutely. There's so much more I want to share. Again, you mentioned music briefly. Well, we can talk about it all, about the young daughter doing so, and that's intentional with music. Our brothers are getting ready to do something called Kill Drill campaign. That's El will tell you about that. Pollinator can tell you about that because he's connected to that. But on our sister side, we're getting ready now to create the National Black Girls Freedom Choir. That's just one of the things,
now,
right?
Where's all of this? I asked earlier, where's all this happening?
Well, the launching is going to be in Philly, starting actually to be before the 25th. That's the actual day of the anniversary. But I'm back and forth from DC to Philly, and now we're getting ready to go into other cities, Baltimore and New York. I was in New York on Saturday, by the way, and so. We again, Million Woman World March. We're planning to take this around the world into all kinds of other countries and so forth. But again, we need our brothers' support. We have a group that we call our Brotherhood, and so we'll definitely get you all involved in that, because for the Million Woman March that we did in '97, it was our brothers that primarily did our security.
Okay.
And I mean, it was strong, all from on every level.
Okay.
It was our brothers.
We're definitely here to support. We have a good amount of followers, and I'm sure that. How long have question for El Pollinator for Emmanuel over there? I'm using your government name, I guess, but
You
I,
good, bro? You good? You know how we
I
get
had to.
down. You good?
Well, I love your name, so I gotta big up your name, and I haven't spoken to you in a while. But the thing about it, how long have you known Dr. Chi here? Do you know her? Do you know of her? I know I
Man,
gotta
me.
ask that question.
Well, me and me
Tell
and
me.
me and me and Sister Dr. Filet go way back when I was with the group called Conscious Minds, and we were a rap group. Me and my brother Shafiq Saad Kaleem, and we used to go to her Stiltwalker's business because she owned a business on South Street, which is a major black enclave back in the day, and she had actually had a beautiful business called Stiltwalkers where they were selling all kinds of stuff like kente cloth, African products, the whole nine.
Book,
So we would go. What would you say, Sister Filet?
books.
Books, all of
Yeah.
that. So back during that time, the conscious community in Philly was real, powerful. We were all together. We were learning how to know thyself, have knowledge of self. And Sister Filet was sort of one of our beautiful queens that we learned a lot from because she's a historical researcher. And as at that time, we didn't have as much information access as we do now because of the advent of technology. So going
Right.
to talk to her with the books and with all of the good stuff, we would sharpen our iron, sharpen our swords and use some of the information that she actually, gave us access to write our music, Conscious Minds, raising our consciousness in the community. And back then in the early 90s, that's where I learned a lot of different things with Sister Filet and her brother Zumi at the actual Stiltwalkers shop that they had on South Street. So we go back over 30 plus years,
Wow.
So
we have a
about the
history.
right, y'all
Huh?
have a history. So as if you were to give her flowers right now, because we're about to end this. If you were to give her flowers right now, what would you say about this woman, and why do you think we should support more men should support all the work that she's done?
She is what I call the beautiful picture or the beautiful reflection of the Queen Mother of the universe. And when I say the universe, I'm talking about the original womb man, where we all came from, where we all derived from. She is a beautiful reflection of that. And I hold women at the highest esteem because at the highest level of the universe, the most high at the highest level, which I know is a woman, and particularly a black woman we came out of the darkness. We came out of the blackness of a black woman. And Queen, I call her, I haven't called her yet Queen, but she's my empress. She's my, all in all, I love her because she represents the most high at the highest level here in this earth matrix, in this earth realm. And that's why I listen to her. She guides us. She, gives us her beautiful wisdom. Because, the word wisdom, if you look at the ancient Hebrew or Shemitic lineages, the word means pretty much Sophia. That's what the word wisdom means. It doesn't say, it ain't no man's name. It's a female name, Sophia. So when you look at Proverbs, even in the ancient scripts that, people call in the Bible, or even you go back to the lost books, it always refers back to Yah. Yah is a divine feminine at the highest level. And she represents that divine feminine at the highest level, that divine nine or that divine feminine to me. So I hope that answers your question. And she's a beautiful woman. And while we have her here, we have to continue to learn because she's, like she said, she knows more things than we can imagine. She's just giving you a surface level of information. She's got wisdom, and
Right.
it says in Proverbs, and and all you're getting, get understanding and get
Right.
wisdom, and guess what? The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy ones is understanding these things. She's one
And
of
that,
them holy ones.
yeah, and that's what we're all about. And that's why I asked that question, because the road to legacy and what we're trying to do is to show black love within our ranks and all around us, regardless of what we think and where we come from. Donald's from a different place than I am from. Everybody's from different. I was a military man. That's all I did was I was in the military, and then I worked in hospitality for like 20, 30 years. The point of the matter is that we just need to show more love. So when I asked Emmanuel that question about you, doctor, is because I want to show everybody out there that there is something called black love, true black love.
Yes.
We can give our flowers right now, no matter where we're from, no matter what we believe in, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever. We can still give each other black love. And that's why I asked that question. And that's what the Road to Legacy is about. So please, everybody, support your black women. We're going to put more stuff on the internet about Dana Ross and her sports company that she's just doing great things in Philly about. We're going to talk more about our podcast. We're going to talk more about the Woman March. And Pollinator, you got crazy stuff to say, and we're going to get you on here more often. Once again, I'm sitting in my truck. Donald, is there anything you have? Anybody else have anything that they would like to say to the audience before we go?
I just want to thank the both of you for everything that you do. Doctor, I want to thank you for all that you've been doing, because you just enlightened me on not just the Women's March, on Sirius, and I think that it's extremely valuable at what the both of you are doing. And when I talk to a powerful black woman, it makes me think about my mother so deeply. And if she was physically here, she would be working and marching with you in everything that you do, because that's the kind of woman she was.
Wow.
And so, and El Pollinator King, you already know, I appreciate you as well and all that you have done.
Respect and love.
The gratitude, the patience. And for everyone who will watch this at some point in time, please support not just us, but the collective. Black people, support each other. We need each other in the times that we're in. It's eye-opening, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing, because there is no growth without conflict.
Absolutely.
So have a great, blessed day, everybody. Guys, tune into the Road to Legacy podcast. It's been another incredible conversation, and more to come.
And we do have Cash App, so if anyone's interested,
what's the Cash App? Let's go. Drop the Cash App.
We have Cash App and PayPal, because again, we do not solicit grants and corporate sponsoring, so it is our people that help us to do what we do. Our Cash App is $HOT1111. Again, $HOT1111. And our PayPal is nbhrproject@gmail.com. And that's nbhrproject@gmail.com. And that stands for National Black Human Rights Project, because that's one of the initiatives that we focus on. Brother Malcolm taught us, and this is his 100-year commemoration of his born day. He taught us that we have to take our issues when it comes to, certain violations. It has to go into the human rights arenas. And so, again, I've been doing work at the United Nations. We are planning to go to Geneva in a few years. We're one of our campaigns is 1 million signatures charging genocide. So next time we'll talk more about that.
We will. And down on the bottom of the screen, that was the information that the doctor gave us, right? That's it.
That's correct.
Great. Yep. So we're gonna be. This will be posted. We really thank you guys for coming on. Once again, Donald, close it out. We love you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I gotta call Dana to get on it right now, but not showing up. I'll get on it. She's probably busy doing business, but
hey, upward, forward, onward. UFO. The evolution has just been televised by the brothers from the Road to Legacy podcast.
God bless you guys.
Take care.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Shalom. One.